The rise of the Roman Empire was not a sudden event, but a long and patient unfolding of power shaped by endurance and ambition. From a modest settlement beside the river Tiber, Rome grew through struggle, discipline, and adaptation. Its people learned to survive hardship, to value order, and to reward loyalty. Over generations, these traits transformed a small city into a force that reshaped the ancient world and left a lasting imprint on history. In the earliest days, Rome was little more than a cluster of huts set among hills and marshland. Life was harsh, and survival depended on cooperation and resilience. The people who settled there were farmers and herders who defended their land against rivals. Traditions spoke of kings who ruled in these early centuries, guiding the city as it took shape. Over time, resentment toward absolute rule grew, and the Romans chose a new path. They replaced kingship with a republic governed by elected leaders and councils. Power was divided, not to weaken the state, but to prevent tyranny and encourage shared responsibility. The republic was marked by constant tension between social classes. Noble families sought to protect their privilege, while common citizens demanded rights and protection. These struggles were not merely destructive. They forced compromise and produced laws that bound rulers and ruled alike. Through this process, Rome developed a political culture that valued duty to the state and respect for tradition. This balance of conflict and cooperation became a source of strength. As Rome stabilized its internal affairs, it turned outward. Nearby communities competed for land and influence, and war became frequent. The Roman army was shaped by discipline and adaptability. Soldiers were citizens who fought not only for pay, but for honor and the promise of land. Rome learned from its enemies, adopting better weapons and tactics. Defeat was treated as a lesson rather than a disaster. Victory brought new territory, but also new challenges in governing diverse peoples. The expansion across Italy was gradual. Rome formed alliances, offering protection in exchange for loyalty. Some communities became partners, others subjects. Roads were built to move troops and trade efficiently, binding the region together. Law and order followed the legions, creating a sense of shared identity. By the time Rome dominated the Italian peninsula, it had learned how to rule without relying solely on force. Beyond Italy lay powerful rivals. The struggle against Carthage tested Rome as never before. These wars were long and costly, fought on land and sea. Rome endured losses that might have broken a lesser state. Instead, it rebuilt its fleets, reformed its armies, and pressed on with determination. When victory finally came, Rome emerged as the dominant power of the Western Mediterranean. Wealth flowed into the city, along with slaves and new ideas. This success, however, carried the seeds of change. The Republic had been designed for a city-state, not a vast domain. As territories multiplied, so did the ambitions of generals who commanded distant armies. Soldiers grew loyal to their leaders rather than to the Senate. Political competition in Rome became fierce and often violent. Reformers sought to address inequality and corruption, while conservatives resisted change. Assassination and unrest became part of public life. Civil wars followed, tearing the Republic apart. Powerful figures rose and fell, each claiming to defend Roman values while seeking personal power. Among them was a leader whose skill and ambition altered the course of history. His rise alarmed the Senate, and his death plunged Rome into further chaos. In the end, exhaustion and fear led the people to accept a new form of rule. Authority was concentrated in a single figure who claimed to restore peace and tradition. This new system was carefully presented as a continuation of the Republic, yet real power lay in the hands of the emperor. The first of these rulers understood the need for balance. He maintained the appearance of shared governance while controlling the army and the provinces. Stability returned, and with it, a renewed period of expansion and organization. Under imperial rule, Rome refined its methods of administration. Provinces were governed by officials who collected taxes and enforced law. Citizenship was extended to many, binding distant populations to the center. Trade flourished across a vast network of roads and sea routes. Cities rose with forums, baths, and theaters that reflected Roman culture. The empire was no longer merely a conqueror. It became a system that integrated diverse peoples under a common framework. The army remained the backbone of imperial power. Legions guarded frontiers and suppressed rebellion. Soldiers came from many regions, united by training and discipline. Their presence ensured order, but also spread Roman customs and language. Over time, the empire developed a shared identity that transcended local origins. Religion and tradition evolved as well. Old gods were honored alongside new beliefs from conquered lands. The empire proved capable of absorbing change while maintaining continuity. This flexibility helped sustain its growth and influence across generations. At its height, the Roman Empire stretched across continents, from the misty edges of northern lands to the warm shores of the southern seas. It encompassed mountains, deserts, and fertile plains, linked by roads that carried merchants, soldiers, and ideas. Cities served as centers of administration and culture, reflecting a blend of local traditions and Roman order. Law provided a common language of justice, while citizenship offered a sense of belonging to something greater than any single community. The empire was not merely a collection of territories. It was a living structure shaped by history, conflict, and compromise. Its rise was built on the determination of its people and their willingness to adapt. Though power was concentrated in the hands of emperors, the foundations had been laid long before in the struggles of the Republic and the resilience of a small city by a river. Rome had become an empire not through a single conquest or ruler, but through centuries of effort that transformed ambition into enduring authority.